What's an example of breaking the bro code, girl code, that ended up for the best? My first love's best friend told me he was cheating. Granted, he held back a bit too long, but he collected evidence in case I didn't believe him and told me. And it wasn't a ruse to try to date me instead. 20 years later, and he and I are still friends. I made out of that relationship with a true friend. I don't think I could have broken free of my feelings in that relationship without his help. His friendship with my ex was never the same. He broke serious bro code by being a stand-up guy. I feel like situations like this should be amended to the bro code, because my brother said this about one of his friends, and I have told it to my friends. If I found out they were cheating, I'd give them 1 week to confess, or I was. Bro code, in my mind, doesn't tolerate cheating. My best friend had pit row passes to the F1 Molson Indy race in Toronto. He asked me to go, and I was stoked. In the days leading up to the weekend, I was bumped for some girl he was dating. They've been married for 25 years now, so I guess it was worth it. I still have never been to pit row. He definitely owes you one. Best friend kept dating awful guys in high school into college. She'd been with one guy for nearly 6 months, and he was finding every excuse to skip on plans with her. She found evidence he was cheating multiple times. It was tearing her apart, but she didn't want to lose him. On their 6-month anniversary, he stood her up again. She called me crying and asked me to come over. I lied, said I had to run an errand first, but would be there in a few hours. Instead, I DM'd him, telling him to cut this shit out and break up with her already because she won't do it. He confessed that he was scared she would become suicidal, which was a valid worry. She often told him he was the only reason she was still alive. I told him that this is worse, that stringing her along is torture, and that when it's over, he can leave and I would be there to help her. He broke up with her a few minutes later via text, then blocked her. She called again. I acted slightly shocked and dropped everything to go to her. She did fall into a suicidal state, but she's still alive and her life got immensely better after that. We are no longer friends because she nearly got me fired last year, but I do wish her well. How did she almost get you fired? Sorry for the cliffhanger, I had to run to work. She helped me get this job a few years ago. We'd worked together previously and it went great. So imagine my surprise as she starts bossing me around to this one. Even though we're equals in position. She made me a gift, which I paid the materials for, which due to circumstances I was not able to use anymore. She asked for it back to resell, but I wanted to keep it for sentimental value. I said I'd consider it. Life got busy, I fell into a deep depression and frankly forgot about it. Everyone at work started treating me worse after a few months. I started getting written up for things that no one else gets written up for. I fell into suicidal ideation and had to take time off of work. Right before I left, she got pissy with me for work I did, and our friendship was officially cut off. I returned to work after a few months. Ex-friend avoids me completely, which complicated our work. A year later, a coworker tells me how much they hate hearing ex-friend bitch about me. Apparently, she had spread it around that I stole the gift from her, but kept changing the story, so everyone started wising up to it being fake, especially since I treat people well. HR didn't want to do anything about it. Thankfully, she took a position at a different store, and now everyone at work loves me. Snitched on my bro boss because I found out he was sexually harassing our receptionist, and it had been going on for years. Partners in the business dissolved. Got laid off a year later due to the business decline from loss of clients. Doors closed shortly after. Our receptionist is a great person and she didn't deserve any of that shit. No regrets though. The person I snitched on had been a mentor to me and a friend, but I realized deep down we are very different people. Boss went off the deep end afterwards, divorced, sold house, turned into a bitter and hateful conservative, and then moved to Thailand for some reason. What a creep. For some reason. A friend of mine was always trying to cheat on his girlfriend, who I was also friends with. I stayed quiet for way too long, even though it didn't sit right with me. Then, one day, he asked to borrow money to take some random girl out on a date. I told him he'd have to get his girlfriend to text me and say she was cool with his date. Shockingly, he actually tried to make that happen. He told her it was just a group hang, but she already had a feeling he was up to something. She called me and asked if it was a group thing or a date. I told her the truth. She dumped him. About a week later, she texted me something like, "I've decided that you're going to love me. I think you're already close, but it's going to happen. We've been married for 14 years now. She's still my best friend. She's an amazing person, inside and out. Every day I get to watch our daughter turn more and more into this incredible woman, and I couldn't be happier with the little family we have. Congratulations, we are now in love. Please do not resist." I simultaneously upheld bro code and broke girl code. I just started dating my now wife, and her roommate was not a particularly stable person. She was going on dates with this one guy, guy number one, who was head over heels for her, but she was really just stringing him along for free meals and attention. Her actual feelings were towards this other guy, guy number two. One night, guy number one came over to the apartment with flowers because they were supposed to go on a date, and roommate is just sobbing over guy number two, who wouldn't give her the time of day. My girlfriend is in the living room with her trying to console her, and guy number one ends up with me in my girlfriend's bedroom. He asked me what he should do, and having had a picture of what roommate was like and having recently gotten out of an abusive relationship myself, I said, honestly, bro, run. He was clearly spooked enough that he made some excuse, left as soon as possible, and I never heard from him again. Where I messed up was potentially putting my girlfriend in harm's way, because if it had gotten back to roommate that I told guy number one to run, my girlfriend would have been in a world of pain. So would I by proxy, but I didn't have to live with roommate. Overall, I don't regret my decision, but I could have handled it better. Even though my girlfriend was a little mad at me at the time, she saw where I was coming from and still agreed to marry me down the line. This doesn't sit right with me because of how your wife enabled her friend. She was abusing the love and trust guy one had in her. Your wife and her roommate knew the rules and still treated him like a breathing wallet. You did the morally upstanding thing, saved him a ton of grief and heartache, but she still got pissed and begrudgingly agreed to marry you down the line still. Despite your backbone, huh? I mean, yeah, there was definitely enabling, but she learned the hard way that moving in with your friends can be a terrible idea, and was trying to keep some sort of peace with someone she was sharing a roof with every day. She was a bit upset with me because she was concerned for her physical safety, but agrees I did the right thing. For what it's worth, they're no longer friends, and she has a much better sense of boundaries than she did almost 10 years ago. We've both grown a lot since our early 20s. Also, begrudgingly is straight up putting words in my mouth, like, sure, I could have worded that better than agreed to, but I don't appreciate what you're insinuating. I wouldn't have asked her to marry me if there was any doubt she was committed to our relationship. And that's what she's consistently shown me from day one. Marry the girl all of my friends slept with. And I mean, like, everyone slept with her. We ended up hitting it off, and one thing led to another, and I married her. Real bros sleep with your wife before you marry her to make sure she is worth it. My older brother married my high school sweetheart. They have 2 kids now. 4 gals went out. I was the designated driver. Girl D spent most of the evening complaining at length about the guy she was dating. It dominated the conversation, and frankly, he sounded like an ass. We get to the 3rd venue of the night. The girls are all pretty buzzed, having a good time, but D's guy is there. Girl D, who has gotten progressively drunk, decides to go lock herself in the ladies' room and have a meltdown. The guy steps in and decides he really needs to take her home. Girl code? She came with us. She's inebriated. She goes home with us. I thought this guy was going to punch me. I'm trying to block the door, but he gets it open, pinning me to the side. Guy, do you want to go with them or me? Girl's like, you. I threw up my hands and walked. How it ended up for the good. I wasn't part of the friend group when she became an even more toxic train wreck and just dragged everyone else down. There are people who still don't talk to each other 20 years on because of her. Eerily similar to someone I know. Unfortunately, I have no way of cutting contact. Glad you were able to. I, 18, was in a friend group with 3 other girls. We had all been victims of the larger friend group exploding, mainly because the girl whose trailer we hotboxed all the time moved to SoCal. Let's call her Leah, 22. One of the girls, let's call her Sammy, 18, was obsessed with Leah and how she was the so-called leader of the old friend group. Leah's old boyfriend, Trevor, 23, started dating this girl named Megan, 20. Sammy made it a point to be incredibly friendly to Megan and had everyone convinced that they were best friends. They would text and hang out all the time. Megan would tell her how she doesn't trust Trevor, but Sammy would convince her that it's all in her head and that he's actually a really great guy. She'd express how lonely she feels, but that she's glad she had a trusted friend like Sammy to confide in. How do I know all of the intimate details of their vulnerable conversations? Sammy was f***ing Trevor and sending us screenshots of her text conversations with Megan, making fun of her for being so gullible and naive. It was some pretty sick high school mean girl shit. I told Sammy that she needed to tell Megan what was happening, or I will. No one in the group believed I would do it. Neither of the other girls in the group really saw a problem, as Sammy is their friend and Megan wasn't. So it was easy to them where their loyalty should lay. One night, I think about a week later, we were at a house party, and Sammy was getting all cozied up to Trevor right in front of Megan. Megan came into the kitchen while I was grabbing myself a snack. Megan and I were not close, but she was clearly distraught, so I asked her what was wrong. She told me that she feels like she's going crazy because her gut is telling her that there is definitely something going on between those two, but she is constantly told by everyone in the group that she is overreacting and that they were just close friends. I responded, "I really hate to be the bearer of bad news, but every single person out there is lying to you and I refuse to be a part of it." I told her everything, even showed her the group chat in which Sammy was sending us screenshots and trying to tell us what to say in case Megan ever got suspicious. Megan understandably got very upset and left, texting Trevor that she never wants to see him again. She then blocked everyone else's number except for mine. I lost that entire friend group that day because I was a traitor. Everyone except Megan, who I still talk to on occasion 7 years later. Jesus Christ, those are some people. You did the right thing and hopefully found better friends who were also better people. Have you ever broken the bro code and it actually worked out? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more.